Hello and welcome to my new video. How about we draw Cheetah and talk a little bit about Wonder Woman 1984. After quite some time and a lot of questions how to actually release the movie in COVID times, it finally released on a digital platform, HBO Max, as well as selected theaters. Not in the whole world, mind you, so it might be difficult for you to access the movie right now. But let's talk about if it is even worth the effort. Short answer, it depends really on the mindset with which you go into the movie. Do you just expect a fun ride? Are you looking for the perfect superhero movie here? But let's start from the beginning. There was the quite successful first Wonder Woman movie. It is pretty much universally, at least not hated. It is, I would say it is liked, perhaps even loved. I'm one of the not that many persons who were not completely blown away by the first movie already. So don't get me wrong, the first one is very good and they finally did something that they did not with the other DC comic book movies. They included a little bit of lightheartedness and fun into the movie, which was very important, especially since this one was playing during the First World War, which is quite a dark era. So if they would not have included any kind of fun in there, that could have been very, very difficult to watch. So it was a good movie. It was even a great movie, even for me. And then enter the second. A bit difficult right from the start, as we have already seen movies that in the timeline play later. So this one is directly in between the first Wonder Woman movie and the more modern time movies. And this is quite a bit of a challenge, because up until Batman vs. Superman, Wonder Woman is a secret superhero and the world does not know about her. So how epic can the event in this movie really be? And the answer is very epic if you do not consider logic too much. This is a popcorn movie. There will be a lot happening and not everything makes sense, and that is more or less the baseline of what you have to accept to be able to have fun with this movie. So most of the time the story does not really make that much sense. You can follow it in general, of course, but it falls in a lot of tropes, superhero tropes as well as more 80s movie tropes. So it's a little bit of a throwback. But it doesn't even manage to be very consistent in its own mythology it creates. So there are supernatural threats, that is pretty normal for a Wonder Woman based movie. And while it works good enough, mythology is always a very strong point for Wonder Woman, and they do not really deliver too much believable and enough backstory for the supernatural threat in question here. So it does never really feel that grounded, and that really is a pity, because the movie is pretty long. And in the past, a movie like this would have been long because they have a lot of story to cram into it. It does not feel like that here. It just felt like they were allowed to keep it longer, so they kept it longer, not because it needs to be longer. A bit of being edited down would probably have helped this one. So how about the characters themselves? We know Wonder Woman in the first movie, we know Wonder Woman in the modern movies, we know her character there, so we know there will not be extreme character development on her part. But that's fine. We like her the way it is, or at least I like her the way she is. Gal Gadot really seems to be the perfect Wonder Woman, and she does a terrific job here again. It's especially fun how in the first movie she was new to pretty much the entire world, and in this movie she became quite of the guide through the current world. So the movie has a lot of funny nods towards the 80s. If you have lived in that era or know a lot about it, you will have quite some fun with that. Unfortunately, the bad guys have not received as much love and care in this movie as the good guys. Don't get me wrong, the actors were pretty good. Pedro Pascal is an appropriately slimy and unlikable Maxwell Lord. I never liked him in the comics, don't like him in this movie either, and that is a good thing. And Kristen Wiig is phenomenal in her role. She shows in the bit of time she has quite the character development, and you believe it. Unfortunately, she does not have enough time for it, and it is not exactly perfectly well written. But her performance and her character are very much fun to watch. If you are a comic nerd, be aware that they pretty much omit the complete comic Cheetah backstory and replace it with something where you ask yourself, why did it have to be Cheetah? But well, we're used to that by now. It is an action movie after all, and I am sad to tell you that the action scenes are also not very good. Just like the special effects that go with them. Strangely enough, I thought the effects and action scenes in the first one were much better. I hoped for an improvement. But for example, the fight scenes of Wonder Woman, of her running around pretty fast, they look very strange. So I don't know what happened there, but I wasn't very happy with it. Especially also the final boss fight. You couldn't really follow it that well, and special effects were not that good, so kind of a letdown. All of that sounds pretty bad, so would you be surprised if I told you it might still be fun to watch this movie? You probably are, and I'm kinda also surprised that I tell you that, but if you can see past some of those things, or most of those things, it is still a fun movie. It goes a little bit in the same vein as Thor Ragnarok. After pretty serious movies, the first and the second one, yes, they were, in comparison to DC movies, quite funny, but the third went all out. It went all crazy, and Wonder Woman 1984 does kind of the same. And while it does not succeed that well, if you say, okay, I can live with plot holes and stuff like that, it is still a pretty fun ride. If you go in appropriately prepared and armed with the knowledge that there is a lot wrong with this movie. The 80s, the jokes, the pretty good actors, especially the phenomenal Kristen Wiig, make for still quite an enjoyable time. And there are really a lot of interesting, fun fan service moments also in here if you know the comic books or even the old TV series. A lot of fun ideas that they delivered pretty well. There are also some infuriating ones where just for the sake of positioning a fan service kinda messes with the overall movie logic, but well, they meant well. For the portrait I drew for this one, I went with Kristen Wiig because I really like her and I already drew Gal Gadot. And just like with the movie, there is a lot I don't like about my portrait here, but all in all, I managed to enjoy it still. But that is all I have to tell you about Wonder Woman 1984 for now. So have you already seen the movie? What did you think? You aren't going to watch it? Why? Yes, I'm still going to ask, even if I gave you a couple of good reasons myself just before. Tell me down in the comments, but ideally please try to keep major spoilers out of there. So that's the portrait, and that was the review. Quite a new concept for me to give you both in one video. So let me know what you thought about that please down in the comments also. I hope you had fun watching me draw this portrait. I hope I could help you with your decision if you should see that movie or not. If so, I would be very happy if you gave me a like or perhaps even subscribe so you don't miss up on future upcoming videos. Thank you very much today for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.